Okay, this is my grandpapa. Grandpapa, what is your full name?
Lawrence Lyon Turner.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a few questions about your childhood. When were you born and where?
Born January 23rd, 1934, in Centerville, Iowa, which is in southern Iowa, was the closest place that had a hospital to where my parents lived in Unionville.
Hmm. Who are your parents? When were they born and where?
My father was born in 1903, also in Iowa, and my mother was born in 1905 in Iowa.
Um, do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have one older sister who's 4 years older than I am. She's 85, living now in Denver, Colorado.
What were your chores as a child?
Pretty typical for a Midwesterner. Besides keeping your room clean, doing dishes, in the wintertime, shoveling snow, in the fall, raking leaves, and doing dishes with my sister, alternating as to who had to wash and who got to dry.
What was going on in the world when you were a child?
We were in the middle of a worldwide depression.
The Great Depression?
Because being born in the Great Depression started in about 1930, 1929 actually, and I was born right in the middle of it, 1934.
What was school like back then?
School meaning grade school. Yeah, it was fun. It's pleasurable. Nothing really exciting other than getting together with kids.
What happened if you got in trouble at school?
If you had trouble in those days, it was basically you would be asked to stay. You'd stay late after school, which meant you would cut into your playtime. And I guess occasionally you might be called into the principal's office. I did not have experience to to judge by.
What grades did you get in elementary school?
I got the top of the line across the board. I think they did not use ABCDs.
Yeah.
They didn't use number
Like
grades.
right
It was really like satisfactory. Or
you were up there at the top of the board.
I was up there at the top.
What did you want to be when you grew up during elementary school?
When I was in elementary school, I did a lot of sketching, drawing, and I always thought, gee, I would like to be a cartoonist.
Cartoonist. How did you set? How did how did you get punished at home if you disobeyed your parents?
Home punishment would be a spanking.
Spanking. What is your strongest memory as a young child?
My strongest memory is when I was personally responsible for destroying my prized possession, a little red wagon. And I had left it in the driveway behind the garage, or in front of the garage behind the car. And my mother was taking me, we were going someplace shopping or what have you, and she said, "Did you move your wagon?" And I said, "Oh, of course," thinking that probably the car would go over the wagon. But we backed out of the garage and crunch, bang, smash. And she said, "What was that? You didn't move your wagon." Wagon was destroyed. I never got another one. So I remember that well.
Where did you go to high school?
In Cedar Rapids, Iowa, a town or a city of about 50,000 at that time, went to Roosevelt High School, named after Teddy Roosevelt.
What were your grades like in high school?
They were straight A's.
Did you play sports?
Wasn't that good, but I played baseball and tennis.
Baseball and tennis. What did you like to do in school?
In high school?
High school.
In high school, I liked to read a lot. I, of course, liked to hang out with my friends. And tennis.
Mm-hmm.
To put it in perspective, we had no TV.
No TV, no phones.
No
No
iPhones
no
or
iPhones.
anything of the electronic gadgets. So our pleasures were largely of our own making, including games, board games, and also playing ping pong, and as mentioned, hanging out with friends.
What was your favorite subject?
Math and science.
Those are mine too. Actually, I really like science. I like history too. It's interesting. Okay. Who was your best friend?
My best friend was Dave Welsh.
Are you guys still friends?
A left-handed, red-headed, good baseball player.
Are you guys still friends now?
No, he stayed back in Iowa when I left after graduating high school.
What did you want to do when you graduated?
When I graduated, I intended to go to college. That was the first and primary thing. I didn't really have a career in mind, but college was something my parents and I both wanted, number one. Number two, in order to do so, I know your questions come about the Navy later, but the Navy really began as a senior in high school when I signed up for the Naval ROTC program in order to help finance my way through college. So as a senior in high school, I was committed as a midshipman, same as the Naval Academy.
Were you surprised when you were accepted to Harvard?
No.
No.
No surprise. I had no doubt. I was, based on my high school activities and grade point average, I never had a doubt.
What was going on in the world when you joined the Navy?
That would be after graduation from college, not counting in high school when I first signed up. The Korean War was still going on. When I was in college, the Korean War ended, and we were, quote, in peacetime, so-called. So when I joined the Navy, we were between wars. Korea was over. Vietnam had not begun. The Cold War was very active with Russia and we not liking each other.
What was your first ship?
My first ship and my only ship was the USS Coiner with a K. It was a destroyer escort-sized ship converted to a radar picket called a DER.
Yeah. How did your parents feel about you joining the Navy?
Well, they were obviously in favor of it because of the financial impact on paying a large part of college. And as good parents, whatever I wanted to do, they would be in favor of.
What was your favorite? What was your job on the ship?
I was the engineering officer, which means I was in charge of all of the the main engines, the propulsion, the evaporators that made fresh water when you're at sea.
Did you ever get seasick?
No.
No.
I just lucky that way. A good share of Navy guys do face it at some point or another. But
what was your scariest moment on the ship?
Really had none. What I loved most was the heavy weather when the ship was rolling over halfway. Like the biggest was 53 degrees measured from the vertical. 45 degrees is halfway over. 53 is over half.
So your boat was like...
Yes, you go like that, and it when you go that far down, it stayed there a while. You are waiting for it. Come on,
was everyone
back.
Sliding down off of the...
Yeah, it's literally sliding off those. The destroyer escort is 300. Mine was 306 feet long, which you can measure. It's a football field in length. And it was widest spot was 36 and a half feet wide. So long, narrow, and in heavy seas you did a lot of rolling. Did you learn to use guns in the Navy? Actually, I learned guns before. Don't take it to when I was 12 years old, my grandfather took me outside with a .22 rifle and said, "I think it's about time you learned how to shoot," and taught me, first of all, the safety needs. Secondly, how powerful it was by firing it at a steel plate that he had set up, and firing a .22, that little thing that doesn't look bad, firing a .22 through a 4x4 piece of wood into the steel plate. Look at the bullet, and it was totally smashed, having passed through all the wood and up against the plate. And he said, "Be careful. Never aim at anything."
Did you ever have to use guns in the Navy?
Never had to use them. I had to carry a .45 sometimes on watch duty.
What was your favorite place you went in the Navy?
Unfortunately, our duty to join the Navy and see the world didn't work out in my case, because our duties were as a radar picket ship to leave Seattle, Washington, go out in the North Pacific 300 miles, steam around by ourselves with our radar active, looking for oncoming Russian planes, which never came. And then we'd stay out for 3 weeks, come back in port for a week, then go back out for 3 weeks.
And go back to your boss and say nothing.
And
then go back for 3 more.
And the only our favorite port to go to was to leave Seattle and go down to San Francisco. The only foreign port that we went in was Vancouver, British Columbia, meaning Canada.
Did you promote in the Navy? The Navy?
Yes, just by virtue. Started as an officer, as an ensign, and after a year and a half promoted to a lieutenant junior grade.
Who was your commander?
My commander was a lieutenant commander by rank, Lieutenant Commander Vern Tracy, who was a very experienced sailor, having been an enlisted man prior to World War II, served over in the Yangtze River in China back in 1939, and became, when World War II broke out in 1941, he became promoted to an officer rank and then moved up from starting at ensign like I did, but he moved up to lieutenant commander by the time he was in charge of the ship.
Did you leave the Navy?
I left the Navy after 3 years, which was my required time to pay back for my college financial help. I thought about making a career out of it. When I left, the atomic subs were just coming into the Navy, and I wanted to get into the submarine service, but was unable to meet the physical requirements. So that made it definite, no career left to go back to graduate school, which had been my original plan.
Who was the president at the time?
Eisenhower.
How is the Navy different from then to today?
I haven't had any first-hand experience about what it's like today, so I couldn't tell you. It's probably, like everything else, a lot more technical-oriented. We, of course, had radar and electronics, but it's old-fashioned compared to what they're using now.
What was your most memorable day in the Navy?
My most memorable days were every day that we were at sea. I loved being at sea, and in particular, the rougher the weather. I used to very much enjoy going topside and be out just watching the waves and feeling the ship as it was
Turning.
It was wallowing back and forth and underneath my feet, and the wind, the waves, the outdoors.
You enjoyed that?
In the middle of nowhere, nobody else in sight except the sea, the clouds, and the waves.
I feel like I'd be scared if we went 53% over. I'd be like, no, get me off.
You always had the confidence that it's going to come back up.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't, oh well.
You're stuck. Thank you for the interview. That was a lot of fun.
Okay, you're more than welcome.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it fulfills your requirements. You have to show the video as well, or you use this as a reminder. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, it's nice. It's pleasant to reminisce. I enjoyed my Navy time. I enjoyed my college time. And I have enjoyed my lifetime.
Okay, this is Famous Girls. Bye.